A new storytelling event focuses on uncovering mysterious and hidden tales from Jacksonville's history. So it's fitting that the series is held at a business built on repurposing relics of the past. Here to tell us about it is the storyteller himself, Tim Gilmore, author, educator, and historian at the blog Jax Psycho Geo. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Ann.
We're also joined by Annie Murphy. She's the owner of Eco Relics in North Riverside, which is hosting the speaker series. Good morning, Annie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Annie, if you would start by explaining what is Eco After Dark and why did you want to start a speaker series?
So, Eco After Dark is a one night a week that we're doing, staying open till 8. And every couple of weeks, we're going to start doing events on those days.
Okay.
And Tim is our first one.
Tim is your first one.
And so we were just really interested in telling Jacksonville's history stories because obviously we have a lot of history at Eco Relics.
Yeah.
So,
And for people who haven't been to Eco Relics, it is a kind of an architectural and like repurposing of architectural elements of former structures.
yes. So we have 50,000 square feet that's full of architectural salvage and other stuff that we get from locals.
Yeah.
So we buy things to keep them out of landfills and we deconstruct things to keep them out of landfills.
And everything in there really does have its story. I mean, it's a piece of history of itself. So I would guess you kind of come to the speaker series with a natural curiosity
Yes.
about the history of things.
Yes, yes. And as an avid follower of Tim's story site, it just seemed like a great fit for us.
Yeah, that's fun. And so, Tim, you've written 24 books, more than 800 blog posts on Jax Psycho Geo. All of it kind of focused on this intersection between the physical space, the physical world, and our experience of
Yeah.
those spaces. Can you kind of explain for people who don't know what psychogeography is,
Yeah,
what
of
that
course.
is?
Yeah. So psychogeography is it's a portmanteau word of the psychology of geography. It's kind of like the spirit of place, and it's what makes a place a place. It's how history lives in the present. And you can live in a place and you can notice all sorts of behavioral patterns and political patterns and crime patterns and everything else. But when you start to dig into the stories of the place, you start to see, what makes all of those things the place itself. So that's kind of what I try to do with JaxPsychoGeo, and I've been doing it since 2012. And Eco Relics is the perfect place to do this kind of event because for people who have walked through Eco Relics, it's almost like a metaphor of walking through the history of a place. I mean, everything that you see calls out to you, has its own particular stories attached to it, and it's a dream to do this. It's a wonderful, just natural venue, I think.
Yeah. And the history of psychogeography is also kind of built on this wandering concept, right?
That's
That you kind of,
true. Yeah.
explore, you
Mhm.
find things, and then you dig into them. And your blog is very much that experience without the physical investment of having to go on those walks. You kind of take us there.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you said that. Yeah, psychogeography, it's not a word that I created. It's something that goes back quite a ways, and the word started to be used probably in the 50s and 60s, a lot of times by French and British writers and theorists, but people look back even to poets like Charles Baudelaire or even Edgar Allan Poe, some of the things that he wrote, and see them as psychogeographical, that they are focused on, wandering through place and kind of digging into the different dimensions of the place.
One thing that is similar between the stories that Tim tells and the work that you do in architectural salvage is this stuff is so precarious. It could so easily end up kind of in the dumpster, metaphorically, and for the stories that Tim tells, very often that's the only place that you could read about that thing that happened because nobody else has dug into the history. Nobody else has written about this one thing. And sometimes if maybe you went to the library, maybe you could kind of piece it together if you were going to try to dig into something. But, the items that you have are also just right on that edge of either being obsolete or being saved and repurposed.
Yes, and you know, so many of them that we have in our building could have been thrown away. And we have, you know, we found a lot of Jacksonville history in our travels that
Yeah.
we've tried to find the right homes for,
Mhm.
right? Not necessarily to sell or to make money, but you know, if they're important documents that are important to, like Tim said, to the psychology of the history of Jacksonville, then we try to keep them.
And so he's kicking off the series. I mean, what other folks are you planning to have to speak as part of the series?
So we're probably looking. We're going to have a medium
Mm.
who's going to give us you know, the deal on our ghost in the building.
You have a haunted building?
We definitely have a haunted building.
Huh.
Yes.
How do you know this?
Well, we've had some mediums come in the past, and so the current count is at 7. But I believe there's more.
7
in that.
mediums or 7
No,
ghosts?
7 ghosts.
Okay.
7 ghosts. So, but that'll be our next big event.
Okay.
And we're just going to mix it up. You know, we hope Tim will come back and do more talks, and we just want to do really fun things that, you know, that are meaningful to Jacksonville and meaningful to Eco Relics at the same time.
Yeah, and so the store basically even stays open, I think, until 8:00. But this next event, the first event, is on August 6th, and it runs from 6 to 8.
Yes, but we're open. We'll be open from 5 to 8.
Okay, but
So
there's
you-
like refreshments. There's an opportunity to sort of mingle, but also to
Yes,
shop.
yes, and the event is currently sold out. We do have a waiting list.
Okay.
So if you want to get on the future talk lists, you know, just send us an email and let us know.
Okay. And so what's on deck, Tim, for this first presentation?
You know, so I want to keep some surprises, but but there are definitely a few things that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about some places that are close to Eco Relics and the rail yard district there, and also you know, some areas nearby. I have to talk about and give a shout out to Spencer Fletcher, who purchased the Oneida Bungalow Court a couple of years ago, and Spencer has such a just kind, compassionate passion for the history of the place. So Oneida Bungalow Court is this, you know, it's unpaved street in the middle. Several, they're not really bungalows, but they're eave to eave on both sides facing inward. And the place is about 100 years old. It's in West Louisville, which was a historic black neighborhood. And it's you're talking about how precarious old things can be. It's astounding that this place still exists. And it's astounding that, you know, Spencer led me to talk to several people who lived there over the years. You know, people like Minnie Gaffney, whose house burned down when she was a little girl there decades and decades ago, or people like Charles Coley, who was the caretaker of the place for decades. So, you know, he's kind of walking around with a history of Oneida Bungalow Court in his head. Also, the Myrtle Avenue underpass, which lots of people have been through or seen. It's right down the street from the Prime Osborne, and you know, it has claimed lots of lives in its century of being there, and there's some fascinating stories attached to it.
Well, Tim Gilmore, Annie Murphy, it's great to hear about this. Thanks so much. Good luck with the speaker series. Appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you very much.